Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves a jam-packed show as we have a lot to get into. As the Lakers made the playoffs. Who would have thought, after starting 0-5, being 2-10, and finishing last in their division, the Lakers made the playoffs? Color me impressed. And San Diego State men's basketball fell short in the national championship, but hey, what a run for them. They defeated FAU in the Final Four, and we're going to recap the amazing run that the Aztecs had. Also, the Anaheim Ducks finished last in the league. They were the worst of the worst in the NHL. How terrible. And LAFC continues to be undefeated. They have not lost a game in the MLS, while LA Galaxy continues to be winless in terms of the MLS. And we have lots more to discuss, such as the Clippers getting ready to battle in the NBA playoffs. They have the Phoenix Suns on the docket. And we have so much more to discuss in terms of the NWSL, and the LA Kings are about ready to rumble in the NHL playoffs. All that and more here on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday morning, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you have made your way into episode 130 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without IE Sports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Please do follow IE Sports Radio on several different social media platforms, such as Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at IE Sports Radio. We also have a Facebook page for those that still use Facebook at IE Sports Radio. You just got to type in the word IE, then sports, then radio in the search bar. Like us and follow us on Facebook, and then poof, that's how you're following us. We also have a website, www.iesportsradio.com. And once you go there, you will see a Patreon link at the top. And once you click it, donations will start at $5 a month once you choose to donate, if you choose to donate. This will get you a shot from all 27 of our shows, including this one, and higher tiers include IE Sports Radio merchandise, access to IESRU, the podcasting university of IE Sports Radio, and even a chance to be featured on a segment of our flagship show, The Defining Moment with Larry B. Because for the past 8 years and counting, IE Sports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, such as Matt Prosser of the Orange County Stunners, that I had on Monday on Set Point, and interviewing all other legendary media outlets and building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. All the while, we've been continuing to be by the fans and for the fans, and with your help, we are ready to take the next biggest step. Thank you, everyone, for all of your support and for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Shout out to our Patreon supporters, Bay Area Raised Apparel, Key to the Gate, Marcus Losgreat, and a donor that wishes to remain anonymous. And with all that said and done, let us begin. Alright, so apologies for missing last week. I actually was at Long Beach City College for the first week of the NVA season, so we might as well start on that. So, Yeah, there were 4 SoCal teams in the NVA, and I'm just going to briefly touch upon them just because the NVA is basically set points thing. As before we continue, we got to give a shout to the chat room, Adam Karnick and Angela Winstead. Adam Karnick pops in the chat room. Well, Angela says, have a great show, Teran. Thank you, Angela. Adam Karnick says, hello, Teran, have a great show. And he also says, will you be applying for the Ducks head coaching vacancy? Absolutely not. That is funny, but no, I will not be applying for the Ducks head coaching vacancy. And more on that later. I didn't even know they were going to give the axe to their head coach. But we're going to talk some NBA first. So, for the NBA, there are 4 Southern California teams in the National Volleyball Association. Yes, this is the NVA, not the NBA. So, So, in terms of the NVA, there's the Los Angeles Blaze, the Orange County Stunners, the Inland Empire Matadors, and the San Diego Wild, the newly founded San Diego Wild. So, a fun fact about the Inland Empire Matadors, they weren't actually going to be the Inland Empire Matadors. They were actually going to be known as the Matadors of the Americas, because they actually had a lot of international players. But I guess the NVA voted to keep the Matadors in the Inland Empire. They actually originated the Ontario Matadors, then they expanded to Inland Empire, then they nearly became the Matadors of the America, but then NVA said, let's keep them in the Inland Empire. So last weekend, there was some success with the NVA teams from Southern California, and then there were some teams that really exceeded expectations, and then there were some teams that unfortunately did not exceed expectations. So we'll start with the team that actually exceeded my expectations with the San Diego Wild. So they made their season debut. This team was owned by none other than Nick England, the do-it-all man, who basically is one of the founding fathers of the NVA. He's been a former guest on Set Point, and he's always wanted to have his own NVA team, and him being from the San Diego area, he finally got to have his own team. He actually got to be a player coach, as he's actually tied for being the longest tenured player in the NVA, but he's just going to be coaching as well as it more so than playing. Maybe one day we'll see him lace it up again, but he will be coaching the Wild, as the Wild went 2-0 as they defeated the Utah Stingers in 4 sets on Friday, and they defeated the Philadelphia Founders in 3 sets on Sunday. Big wins for the Wild. They have a really good roster, but we'll see how far they can go. It would be quite something if they won the NVA championship in their first year. I don't know if there have ever been any teams that have won a championship in their first year in an expansion team, but it would be quite something if the San Diego Wild won a championship, considering San Diego is long yearning for a championship in pro sports. Pardon. Then jumping over to one of the other successful teams that have already been founded in the NVA, it's the Orange County Stunners. So the Stunners, they went 1-1 last weekend. They went 5 with the Puerto Rico Pythons, as on Friday they won the first 2 sets, and then they dropped the next 2 sets, and then they outlasted the Pythons in the 5th set, 15-12. They had to face one of their former players, Jair Santiago. Like I said, I had Matt Prosser on as a guest on Set Point on Monday, and it was a grueling 5-set match. There was a little rust from the Stunners, but honestly, they really pulled out the win with great matches from Cody Caldwell, who is a SoCal boy at heart, as well as Damani Lenoir. On Sunday, the Stunners did suffer a 4-set loss to the New Jersey Freedom. The Stunners played their hearts out, and this was a rematch of last year's NBA semifinals, right? And with these two teams, all bets are off, and not even the Freedom were at full strength. They had like 9 active players, and then for the Freedom, one of their players got hurt, and it kind of messed with them mentally. But for the Stunners, they had some solid games from some of their players like Damani Lenoir and Matt Hilling. Unfortunately, they just couldn't pull out the win, and it's back to the drawing board. But for the Stunners, I think for them, they're going to be better once they get most of their roster back. Like, Event 1 is always the barometer of where everyone is at. So that's that for the Stunners. Jumping over to the Inland Empire Matadors, they pulled off they were the surprise team in SoCal as they went 1-1. Now, I know that's not really the biggest surprise, but they actually had the honor of starting out the entire NVA season. They took on the Florida Southern Exposure. They lost to the Southern Exposure in 4 sets, which kind of isn't surprising. The Matadors traditionally aren't really the greatest NVA team. No offense to them, of course. And Southern Exposure, obviously, is a good team, traditionally. But for the Matadors, they hung with them tooth and nail, especially in that second set. But on Sunday, in the last match of event number 1, the Matadors took down the reigning NVA champion Las Vegas Ramblers in 5 sets, which color me impressed. That was very incredible by them. And they even won off of a walk-off service ace. And one of their players, Cesar Medina, he was quite phenomenal. He had 5 service aces, 17 kills. He was incredible. And he even played his college volleyball days at El Camino College, which is a junior college in the, I wouldn't say the, what's that area called? Not the El Camino Real area. It's the Torrance area. That's the area. That's kind of the area where it is. So overall, it was a successful season for the Inland Empire Matadors as they're 1-1 along with the Las Vegas Ramblers and the Florida Southern Exposure going into event number 2. And what's scary about the Matadors is that they weren't even at full strength as well. I mean, obviously, most teams weren't at full strength, but I think it's going to be incredible to see what the Matadors can do once they get their full entire roster. So this could be something incredible for the Matadors because they haven't made the playoffs since 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what the Inland Empire Matadors can do. Now, the team that did not win any matches was the Los Angeles Blaze, as they lost to the Texas Tyrants in 4 sets. Now, the Tyrants weren't at full strength. They had like 9, maybe 10 guys at most. They didn't even have a head coach, and they didn't have one of their top guys. But the Blaze fought them tooth and nail, and the Blaze didn't even have a middle blocker. They had their starting opposite, Charles Belvin, who played his volleyball at Long Beach City College and Concordia University Irvine. He had to play middle blocker the entire weekend. And they also didn't even have their head coach as their assistant coach, Alicia DeMaw, had to step in as the head coach. So they lost to the Texas Tyrants, who is a perennially good team in 4 sets on Friday. Or actually, it was on Saturday. My apologies. It was on Saturday, and then on Sunday, they lost to the Chicago Untouchables in 5 sets. They won the first 2 sets, and I was thinking that the Blaze was actually going to win this one, but then the Chicago Untouchables really came alive, and that's when they reverse swept the Blaze. It had shades of last year's meeting between the Untouchables and the Blaze, and the Untouchables didn't even have a head coach at the moment, but it is what it is for the Blaze. They're kind of a work in progress. They practically have only 2 players returning from their roster from last year, so the Los Angeles Blaze is a work in progress, especially when they don't have their head coach, when they only have 2 players returning. So we'll see what happens with the Los Angeles Blaze, and hopefully for their sake, they can get their act together. I think they can do better in terms of their gameplay, and hopefully hopefully they can win more games. They made the playoffs last year, but it was such a short playoff run, and it was kind of an empty playoff run. But they only won like 3 games last year. They won like 3-ish games, so that's kind of what happened. So, yeah, Adam, I see you saying go Untouchables. It was kind of funny how they had to reverse sweep their way to victory, though. So we'll see what happens come round 2, though. But round 2 isn't until event 5, which is the first week of July, or the second week of July, actually. So second week of July is when the Untouchables and the Blaze square off with one another, and that's basically the last regular season event, and then it comes playoff time. So we'll see what happens come those two teams. But for right now, that is going to do it for the NVA portion. So let's jump back into some NCAA men's basketball. We're only going to talk a little bit briefly about San Diego State men's basketball. So where we left off was the Final Four between the Aztecs and FAU. So for the Aztecs, they were down 15 at most, and I was like, "Oh, this is basically over." I don't think San Diego State is going to win this one, and I think they're dead. The comeback magic is basically done for. But then San Diego State started stringing them together, and they eventually tied it up, and all they just needed was one shining moment, and all they just needed was one play. They needed two plays in order to get the game-winning basket that they needed, and eventually they were able to pull out the victory, and they got a block at one end, which basically was what pulled them. It was what pulled them back into the contention of, getting the ball back offensively, as they got the block, and then Lamont Butler, I believe that's his name, Lamont Butler was able to get the go-ahead basket, or the game-winning basket. Yeah, Lamont Butler had the game-winning basket. He had the game-winning basket when San Diego State was down 1, and that was that one shining moment. It was just phenomenal for San Diego State, and I remember seeing that moment, and I was just screaming to the top of my lungs, and I wasn't even 100%. Like, I was still coughing up stuff, and I'm still fairly sick. I'm still trying to get over this sickness and allergies and whatnot. So if you hear me pausing, I apologize. But anyway, San Diego State was able to edge out Florida Atlantic, or FAU, 72-71. It was just an exciting moment for San Diego State fans, as the Aztecs were led by Matt Bradley, who had 21 points. Jaden Leddy, I believe that's how it's pronounced, he had 12 points off the bench. They were their only double-digit guys, and San Diego State even gave up 71 points. They needed 72 points to take down FAU. They had to throw the kitchen sink, the refrigerator, the lamp, the television. They had to throw everything at FAU in order to win, and to come back from 15 points is incredible. So hats off to San Diego State for pulling off that win over FAU. And they advanced to the national championship, their first ever national championship. Basically, San Diego State men's basketball was what UCLA was supposed to be. And it's incredible that San Diego State had that amazing run to the national championship. Unfortunately, their run was cut short as they lost in the national championship game to UConn, 76-59. The final score does not dictate on how badly, or on how close it kind of was. Like, San Diego State was actually up 10-6 4 minutes into the game, but then UConn just started to become UConn. They were hitting threes, they were suffocating San Diego State, and it was just tough for the Aztecs to just play their game. I mean, San Diego State got the game to within 5 with about less than 10 minutes to go, but that was kind of where the buck stopped, as UConn hit a 3 to go back up 8, and that was basically GG no re. And unfortunately, I really want San Diego State to not lose by double digits, or to lose by less than what Miami lost by, but unfortunately it was just not meant to be, and UConn just kept making everything, and then they just kept piling up the points from the free throw line, and San Diego State just kept having so many dry spells. But it doesn't take away from the fact that San Diego State just had such a great run, and nobody predicted San Diego State to go farther than the Sweet 16. Again, in a year that was supposed to be headlined by UCLA being the most dominant team in Southern California in terms of Division I men's basketball, San Diego State took that role from UCLA and ran with it following the Sweet 16, and then going farther from the Elite Eight, and then going farther from the Final Four, all the way to the national championship. It just sucks that they had to lose in that beat-down fashion, and I hate how everyone just basically was right about that. I really want everyone and their mothers to just say UConn's going to win, and then San Diego State just pulls the upset right from their nose, from everyone's noses, and then basically that was it. So, unfortunately, that's how San Diego State's season ends. But hey, how many other teams can say that they made it all the way to the national championship outside of UConn? None. So, good on the Aztecs, and they get the first big W of the day or of the show, just because, man, that's just incredible right there. So, good job to San Diego State. You not only made your conference proud, you made Southern California proud, you made your state proud, you made your region proud, you made everyone proud. And while it didn't result in you getting the win, you basically just made everybody proud, and I enjoyed the ride. It would have been awesome to see the win, but nothing can take away from this amazing moment. And you really got to give credit to these gutty little Aztecs. I just think that we might not ever see another moment like this. And if San Diego State does get back to the national championship and they win it, then I'll eat my crow. But honestly, hats off to San Diego State on the win. So, and I'm just going to also say this: San Diego State is I forgot the name of their head coach, San Diego State's head coach, but I think it's like Brian something. But it's like, I'm blanking on his last name. But I will say this: their head coach is twice the man that Bobby Hurley is, or whoever UConn's coach is. At least San Diego State's coach is humble and he loves his guys. Like UConn's coach, I will just say for UConn's coach, he doesn't really say anything positive about the other team. And this is no knock on Bobby Hurley, but it's like, give the other team some freaking credit, dude. Just say, hey, hats off to the other team on a great season. It's called winning with class and losing with class. I'm just saying, dude. I know y'all are going to say no one wants to hear your Boy Scout thing, but it's called winning with class and losing with class, and let's just give the other team their props and whatnot. So, I'm just saying, y'all. Anyway, and Angela says SDSU played their butts off. Yeah, they pretty much did, and the problem was that UConn basically had an answer for everything, I repeat, everything they threw at them. So, if it were Miami, maybe, hence the word maybe, San Diego State maybe had a chance. But unfortunately, that was not the case. But we'll see. Alright, but that is that for San Diego State men's hoops. That's that for all of college hoops entirely. So, also I want to give one big W award to Jim Nance, as that was basically his last Final Four. Oh, darn it. I cleared my throat while the mic was on. I want to give the Big W award to Jim Nance, as he called his last national championship game in terms of college basketball. And my favorite moment from him was him saying, "Thank you for being my friend." Well, a salute to you, Jim Nance. I don't know if college basketball is ever going to be the same without you in terms of the national championship. But thank you for being my friend. We'll see you on the gridiron. on CBS, of course. But thank you for being my friend. We love you, man. Anyway, so that is that for college basketball. Jumping over to the NBA. So the Lakers, okay, so I'm a little bit far behind on the Lakers and Clippers. So I'm just going to skim through the Lakers and Clippers. And I'm just going to say this. Lakers did not lose a whole lot last time we talked about the Lakers and Clippers. The only game the Lakers lost, and to my knowledge, was to the Clippers. And this is basically death taxes and the Lakers still finding ways to lose to the Clippers regardless of what happens. And, the Clippers just straight up own them. I mean, the final score does not dictate of how much of a beatdown the Clippers basically had the Lakers in a headlock. So unfortunately for the Lakers, they just could not beat the Clippers. In the end, the Clippers finished 5th in the Western Conference. The Lakers finished 7th in the Western Conference. And the Lakers had to play in the play-in tournament, which they had to play the Minnesota Timberwolves, which at first it didn't seem like a problem because Rudy Gobert got suspended, which I'll be talking about in a little bit. Jaden McDaniels got hurt, and then Naz Reid had he had some sort of injury which kept him out for a while. I think it was like an elbow injury, but it kept him out for like a long while. So on paper, this appeared to be a true Lakers win. And on paper, this looked like the Lakers were going to win by like a true dominant effort. Well, the Lakers didn't get that memo. The Lakers really struggled in the first half. They're actually down by 11 going into halftime. It's like big yikes right there. And I was like, I'm not enjoying this, ladies and gentlemen. They eventually were down 7 going into the fourth quarter. And then I think with about six-ish minutes to go, Minnesota was like stuck at 95 points, and they could not make anything. It's like their side of the basket was the size of like a coffee mug. They just could not make anything. Meanwhile, the Lakers had all the opportunities to put away the Timberwolves and to basically go up, but they just couldn't. Eventually, they tied with the Timberwolves late in the game, but they just could not go for the throat. Eventually, the Timberwolves turned the ball over. I guess the ball went out of bounds. The Lakers had the ball, and they fed it to Dennis Schroeder, which I'm surprised they gave it to him, and LeBron gave it to him. And earlier in the game, I guess I should also mention this, Dennis Schroeder, I guess, hurt his heel or his Achilles, but the dude stayed in. The dude had some balls and stayed in. And he hit a big three-pointer, which put the Lakers up 3 with about 1.1 seconds to go. So all the Lakers needed to do was play defense, play smart, and don't foul a three-point shooter. Well, the Lakers didn't get that last memo. The Lakers fouled a three-point shooter, and Anthony Davis, who has been playing some stellar defense, fouled a three-point shooter. Now, looking at the replay, it didn't look like it was a true foul, but honestly, it's like it was still contact, and that's the right call. And Mike Conley is pretty much automatic from the free throw line. So he made all 3 free throws, and the Lakers and Timberwolves were tied at 98 going into overtime. And it's like Anthony Davis really just spoiled Dennis Schroeder's game-winning 3. It's like I basically said Dennis Schroeder was not the hero the Lakers deserved. He's the hero the Lakers needed. And then until Anthony Davis ruined that with a freaking foul. It seems like the Lakers always foul or do some sort of bonehead mistake which costs them or possibly costs them a game, which is stupid. Fortunately for the Lakers, they did this thing called adjusting in overtime, and they actually got their you-know-what together, and they actually wound up winning in overtime. Except they were up 3, and they inbounded the ball. The ball got stolen by one of the Timberwolves players, and they kicked it out to one of the players open in the baseline. He missed the 3, and I think Austin Reeves of the Lakers got the rebound, and then the Lakers just put it away. So, Lakers did win that game, but it was a very ugly game. And I was even saying on the SoCal Supreme Sports Show Twitter account, even if the Lakers do win this game, can we really trust them to win a 7-game series against Memphis or possibly Sacramento or Golden State? That's tough, man. But for the Lakers, that is incredible that they made the playoffs. You got to remember, this Lakers team started 0-5, 2-10, and they finished dead last in the Pacific Division. Every team in the Pacific Division made the playoffs, by the way, including the Sacramento Kings, which we're not really going to go into discussion about. But anyway, the Lakers made the playoffs. They will play the Memphis Grizzlies on Sunday in the start of a 7-game series. I really want to say the Lakers actually have a shot against Memphis, but it's like, how can I say that? Just because if they played like that against Minnesota, Memphis is going to boat race them off the court. Some are saying the Grizzlies are going to beat them in 5. I want to be optimistic and say Grizzlies or Lakers in 6, but it's like, how can I? Angela puts in the comment section, or said in the comment section, Lakers need to get their ish together, or they'll be sitting at home the rest of the playoffs. The Clippers own LA because we can't beat them at all ever. Well, that last comment, or that last bit of the comment that Angela said, Tyronn Lue, ever since coming to the Lakers, has basically turned the Clippers around. Ever since Tyronn Lue came to the Clippers have not lost to the Lakers. That just speaks to high volumes of how the Clippers have had the Lakers number. Big yikes right there. And yeah, the Lakers do need to get their you-know-what together, because I know they do have Anthony Davis healthy, they've got LeBron healthy, they've got most of the band back together, but they do need to play smart. Now, I will give the Lakers so much credit. They do have the best record following the All-Star break, but they just can't play so recklessly, and they can't underestimate anybody. So even Vegas is kind of giving the Lakers not too much of a chance. They're treating the Lakers as underdogs. So we'll see what happens for the Lakers. I want to give them a chance, but for purposes of the show, I'll say Lakers in 6. If the Lakers win that series, awesome. But if they don't win that series, then so be it. But I will say this. It is incredible that the Lakers did manage to make the playoffs. Because, again, I don't think anybody predicted the Lakers to making the playoffs with the expectations they had following the 0-5 start, the 2-10 start, the being 500. I think it was like 25-33 at the All-Star break. And I even think some people gave them like less than a 1% chance of making the playoffs. I'd have to double check on the Lakers Twitter account, but it's like, that's just incredible that the Lakers still defied a 0.3% chance to make the playoffs. 0.3% chance for the Lakers to make the playoffs, and they actually made it. So I give the Lakers so much credit, and with Darvin Ham too. I mean, Darvin Ham isn't really who I'd call coach of the year, but for Darvin Ham to guide the Lakers to the playoffs, it's quite incredible. So we'll see what the Lakers can do. But it's time will tell for the Lakers. Now for the Clippers, they locked up their playoff spot, and they didn't even need to do any play-in tournament. They play the Phoenix Suns, as they are the Clippers are the 5 seed and the Suns are the 4 seed. Sorry. The Suns basically have home court advantage in this series, and they're probably going to have all their star players. They're going to have Kevin Durant, they're going to have Devin Booker, they're going to have Chris Paul and whatnot. It's going to be tough to beat those guys, and I'm not sure what the whereabouts of Paul George is going to be. I'm fairly certain Paul George should get reevaluated, and we're going to see what his status is like. If Paul George is available for the series, Clippers in 7 probably. If Paul George, Clippers in 6. That sounds about right. Clippers in 6 if Paul George is available in the latter of the series. If Paul George isn't available, I'll probably say Clippers in 7. Just because it's going to be so tough to beat the Phoenix Suns, especially when you're going to be on the road for the most part. But for the Clippers, I think they have a good shot at beating the Suns. I don't trust the Suns all that much, but at the same time, the Clippers have kind of been that roller coaster ride where they've been up and then down and then up and then down. They've kind of had their ups, especially when they played the Pelicans. But for the Clippers, it's just going to be tough to beat them without the likes of, what's their face, Paul George. Now, again, if they do have Paul George, it makes their life a little bit more easier. So we will see what happens going forward. But for right now, it's just a time will tell. Excuse me a second. Sorry about that. Davidson Crooks, the host of Fast Break, pops in the chat. He says, Suns in 6 if Durant is healthy. Yeah, that sounds about right. If the Suns are healthy, this is basically going to be the battle of who's healthy between these two teams. If whoever is healthy or whoever has the best availability, that team is going to win. For now, I kind of want to give the edge to the Suns in terms of availability, but I would not count out the Clippers. The Clippers are kind of like that cockroach that you just can't get rid of, especially with Kawhi. And the good thing for the Clippers is that they don't have any back-to-backs. There will never, ever, 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 ever be Kawhi back-to-backs in the playoffs. Davidson Crook says, Leonard can win you 2 games without Paul George. Yeah, that is definitely true. He can win 2 games without Paul George, but 2 games is not 4 games. So we'll see what happens come playoff time, and we'll see what happens. It's a time will tell thing for Paul George, but for right now, all we could just do is cross our fingers come that evaluation process when it comes to Paul George. Like, hopefully for the Clippers' sake, it is not going to be, it's not too serious. According to Justin Russo, Paul George is shooting around prior to the Clippers' practice today, and George's status is for a first-round return is unclear. And then I guess someone else says that one day ago Paul George looked sharp, and that he says, could we see him return for Game 1 against the Suns? I just don't know. And there is no timetable for Paul George's return, so I would like to see Paul. It would be cool if Paul George returned, but time will tell. So we'll see what happens with Paul George. But let's not hold our breaths. I imagine we might not see him for like the first 2 games, but maybe we'll see him for like games 3 and beyond, but we'll see. Alright, so that's that for the NBA portion of the show. We are just going to have to cross our fingers and hope that we will see Paul George come playoff time. Alright, let's jump on over to the MLS just because we've got some El Tráfico this week. But first, the LAFC is still undefeated, which is awesome sauce. And they're still doing good in the CONCACAF tournament. So, in the first leg of the CONCACAF quarterfinals, they defeated the Vancouver Whitecaps 3-0. Then last Saturday, they defeated Austin FC 3-0. Then in the second leg of the CONCACAF quarterfinals, they defeated Vancouver 3-0. So, they've been literally showing no mercy to everybody. 1 second, please. Sorry, everybody. Still trying to get over this little cough thing. Still trying to get over these allergies and whatnot. So, anyway, LAFC is off to the semifinals of the CONCACAF Champions League tournament. The draw is slated to be at SoFi Stadium, and It's basically a time will tell thing on who. LAFC will play the Philadelphia Union in the CONCACAF tournament semifinals in the first leg on the 25th. So it's going to be quite interesting. It's a rematch of last year's MLS Cup finals, and then the second leg will be on May 2nd. So that's going to be quite fascinating. Like, one match is going to be at Bank of California Stadium, and then the other one is going to be in Philadelphia, where Subaru Park, which is where Philadelphia plays. Just so it's fair for both Los Angeles and Philadelphia, just so one team isn't like getting unfair home field advantage. But anyway, LAFC has yet to drop a match in MLS play. Their next matchup is on Sunday against the LA Galaxy. It is going to be played at the, not StubHub Center, but the Dignity Health Sports Park. So that's going to be the first installment of El Tráfico, and that's actually a perfect segue to go into the LA Galaxy, who has yet to win a match as they lost to the Houston Dynamo last weekend 3-0, which is completely sad face. The Galaxy are really frustrating, dude, and when are we going to see the departure of Chris Klein? Anyway, if they actually beat LAFC, I will laugh uproariously. I'd be surprised if LAFC lost to the LA Galaxy. But back to LAFC facing the Philadelphia Union in the CONCACAF tournament. That's going to be very interesting. That could be quite the semifinal, just because, for starters, it's the rematch of the MLS Cup from last year. And then also, it's like, I'm certain they'll play one another in MLS play. I'm 95% certain they'll play one another. But honestly, it's like, that's quite fascinating that they'll get, the two play each other on Saturday, September 23rd in Philadelphia. So that's quite fascinating to see that the two teams will be playing in the CONCACAF tournament. So I expect a whole lot of bad blood between those two teams, especially in a rematch of last year's MLS Cup. And the winner advances to the CONCACAF finals. Now, I'm not sure what the CONCACAF finals are going to be like, whether it's just going to be a one-match leg or if it's just going to be two legs. But either way, it's going to be big time to see the Philadelphia Union and LAFC lock horns with one another for the first time since the MLS Cup from last season. I think it's going to be incredible to see the Union and LAFC go head-to-head with one another. So I'm excited for it. But before that, the LAFC has the Galaxy, and they also have Nashville before they face Philadelphia. They actually play at Nashville before then, so it's going to be quite something for LAFC. So we'll have to see what LAFC has in store for us. Well, it should be quite the fun times for LAFC, and for right now, I'm excited to see round one of El Tráfico. I wouldn't hold anything to seeing LAFC just beat the tar out of the Galaxy, but time will tell. Jumping over to the NWSL, we have the national. We have Wave FC taking on OL Reign in a little bit of a matchy-watchy. They play at OL Reign this Saturday, which should be some fun times, as OL Reign is 5th in the NWSL, which should be a good little matchup. As for the Angel City FC, they just picked up their first win of the season. They beat Orlando 2-1, which makes me happy. And they play Louisville at the Bank of California Stadium on Saturday, which should be a nice little which should be a nice little matchup right there. As next week, the two teams partake in the NWSL Challenge Cup, which I'm not sure what that is. I'm not sure if that's going to be like a mid-season tournament that the two will be playing in, or I'm not sure if that's going to be the equivalent of the CONCACAF tournament. But either way, that should be quite something. I mean, it's going to be in the middle of the week. It's going to be on a Wednesday, which that's quite interesting. But we'll see what happens come Wednesday. It's a time-will-tell process. The following Sunday, Angel City and San Diego face one another, and oh boy, that's going to be quite something. I'm really excited to see what those two will be doing against one another. It's not going to be group stage play, but it is going to be the first meeting with one another in NWSL play, and man, that's going to be fun. Angel City's kind of got I won't say the easier matchup this week, but Louisville has lost. They've drawn twice this season. Meanwhile, for San Diego Wave FC, they face OL Reign, who won one match but lost one match. So we'll have to see what Wave FC can do against the likes of OL Reign. San Diego is 2-0, while Angel City is 1-1. So time will tell to see what happens with those two teams going into next week. Alright, so that is that for some NWSL action. We're going to take ourselves a quick little commercial break, give my voice a little bit of a rest, and give myself some wowda. When we come back, we'll have some MLB action to talk about. We'll have some some NHL to discuss. Then we've got some dum-dums of the week to go over. And we've got some other big W awards to give out. And then I'll send you all on your way. So keep it locked here. You're listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IX Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
Sports fans, do you like teams that are tough, cities that are tougher, and fan bases that are passionate about their teams? How about teams that are historic and stadiums that are iconic? Then you belong in Chicago, and you need to check out Chi-Town Weekly. Join me, Adam Kernan, every week as we keep up with all things Chicago sports. Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, Cubs, White Sox. We'll cover them all, plus more. The Windy City is always buzzing, and we'll keep you up on all the big games and major stories. So tune in to Chi-Town Weekly every week right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Sports fans, are you looking for a sports show that maybe isn't 100% about sports?
Then you might want to check out the Sports Couple Perspectives right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Most sports shows cover only scores and stats, and while we're not opposed to that, we dig a little deeper into sports issues and some of the hottest topics in athletics.
In addition to sports, we take a journey through my neck of the woods, pulp culture, with movie reviews of both sports and non-sports films.
Speaking of pop culture, make sure to participate in our game nights, where we quiz each other on our specialties, and you, the listeners, can win IE Sports Radio apparel.
We always have a great time learning more about each other's worlds, one show at a time.
So join us each week on the Sports Couple Perspectives, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Are you a fan of Buffalo sports? Are you thinking of changing loyalties and becoming a Buffalo sports fan? Do you even know where Buffalo is on the map? Did you know Canada is closer to Buffalo than New York City? Welcome to the Buffalo Huddle, every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your host, Patty Bax. This is a podcast designed for you, the passionate sports fan. I know you love your sports. Who doesn't? I cover Buffalo sports and so much more by bringing in the human elements. I call it Buffalo Sports with a Twist. Join me as we take a journey into the world of Buffalo sports. I guarantee you'll fall in love with Buffalo just like I did. Each week we start with an inspiration, question of the day, a Buffalo fun fact, and our weekly challenge to you, the listener. Come huddle up with me every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 4 p.m. Pacific Coast Time for the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. As we say in Buffalo, go Bills!
Back with segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely do check out all of our amazing shows such as Chi-Town Weekly, the Sports Couple Perspective, which should be on tonight, and the Buffalo Huddle with Patty Bax. Also, Chi-Town Weekly is back with Adam Karnick as we welcome John Felipe in the chat room, as I'm 99% certain that Carolina Cast will be going on later today. Definitely check out that show as well. But with all that said and done, let's get on into segment number 2 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. So let's jump on into some MLB, because we've got a lot of MLB to discuss with the Angels, Dodgers, and Padres. Just because I did miss last week's show, and I'm behind. I'm behind in terms of quite a bit. So, in terms of the best team from SoCal, I know all the teams haven't really been playing. I haven't played the equal amount of games, but in terms of the teams that have actually had success, the Angels have actually had a good amount of success in terms of early success so far. So following their whatchamacallit, their opening season game, or their opening day game, they lost to the Oakland Athletics 2-1 on opening day, which, so what? They bounced back and trounced the Oakland Athletics 13-1 the day after, or 2 days after, and then they beat the A's 6-0. Then against the Seattle Mariners, they beat the Mariners 7-3 on the 3rd, but lost to the Mariners 11-2. Then edged the Mariners 4-3 on the 5th of April. Then last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they took on the Toronto Blue Jays. They lost that series against the Blue Jays. They lost last Friday to the Blue Jays 4-3 on Friday, but they beat the Blue Jays last Saturday 9-5. And then this was probably the worst loss. They lost to the Blue Jays They lost to the Blue Jays 12-11 in 10 innings. I want to say that was the one where they led a good chunk of the game, and then they made a comeback, only to lose it again. And it was so bad is that they actually had, I want to say they had like they allowed 10 runs unanswered through the 6th and 7th inning. And yeah, they were up 6-0, and then in the 6th and 7th inning, they allowed 10 runs combined. They made a comeback in the 8th and 9th inning combined, and then in the 10th inning, they just could not have that halo magic. So, yeah, that was disappointing from the Angels. Then on Monday and on Tuesday, as well as Wednesday, they took on the Washington Nationals. They lost the first game 6-4, but they beat the Nationals 2-0 on Tuesday, and then they beat the Nationals 3-2 on Wednesday. This weekend, they have a 4-game series against the Boston Red Sox in Beantown, as they play the Red Sox today at 4:10 p.m. Pacific Time. Then on Saturday, they take on the Red Sox at 1:10 p.m. Pacific Time. Sunday, that is at 10:35 a.m. Pacific Time. And then on Monday, they play at 8:10 a.m. Pacific Time on Monday. Yikes, that's an early start time. Why so early on Monday? Anyway, the rest of the week, after they play the Red Sox, they have the Yankees on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then next Friday, Saturday, Sunday, they return home to welcome the Kansas City Royals, which hopefully that should be the remedy of their possible losing woes, but it's like you never know with the Yankees. And then the Red Sox, they're kind of an anomaly, but we'll see. So overall, the Angels are doing okay. I didn't expect them to do this bad. I didn't expect them to do this great. They've only lost one series, and they're actually tied for first in the AL West. But it's only a matter of time before we see those Houston Astros get hot from the in terms of their games. But we'll see. Staying within the Los Angeles area, I guess if you want to call it that, the Dodgers, they managed to, they're continuing their so-called ways, as they've kind of been a little underwhelming, as they won their opening day game 8-2. The day after, they lost 2-1 to the Diamondbacks, and then Saturday, they crushed the Diamondbacks 10-1, and then Sunday, they lost to the Diamondbacks 2-1, earning a split in the series against Arizona, which I found a little uncharacteristic. Against the Rockies, they swept the Rockies in the 2-game series 13-4 on Monday, and then 5-2 on Tuesday. Then they took on the Diamondbacks in Arizona, and they wound up losing 3 out of 4, which is very uncharacteristic, as believe it or not, the Diamondbacks are actually one of 3 teams to not lose a series. The other 2 are Tampa Bay and the Yankees. Yuck, I can't believe I said that. Anyway, last Thursday, the Dodgers beat the Diamondbacks 5-2. Last Friday, the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers 6-3. Saturday, the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers 12-8. And then last Sunday, the Diamondbacks beat the Dodgers 11-6. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the Dodgers and the Giants faced one another in San Francisco, or whatever it's called. I think it's called Oracle Park. I don't think it's called Petco Park, because I know old Petco Park got torn down, and I think it's called Oracle Park, but it is what it is. So Monday, the Dodgers thumped the Giants 9-1. Tuesday, the Giants took down the Dodgers 5-0. And then Wednesday, the Dodgers beat the Giants 10-5. As usual, Max Muncy had himself a series against the Giants, and he basically owned them like he was their kid. They were their kids. But that's normal, especially when they're playing at a Giant Stadium or Oracle Park. So, following the day off from yesterday, the Dodgers have a 3-game series at home against the Chicago Cubs. Starting tonight, it is at 7:10 p.m. Pacific Time. Saturday, the 2 teams play at 6:10 p.m. Pacific Time. And then Sunday, the 2 teams play at 1:10 p.m. Pacific Time. For the rest of the week, the Dodgers have a 3-game series against the New York Mets on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. First 2 games are at 7:10 p.m. Pacific Time. And then Wednesday, that game will start at 12:10 p.m. And then next Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the Dodgers face the Cubs again, except this time, the series will be heading to Chi-Town at Wrigley Field, as the 2 teams will be playing in Chicago, as They'll be playing at several different times, except Friday, Saturday, Sunday they'll be playing at 11:20 a.m. Pacific time, and then Thursday the two teams will be playing at 4:40 p.m. Pacific time. So that's basically that for the Dodgers right there, and the Dodgers are kind of in that limbo right there, which is like, eh. I mean, they're like second in the NL West, but it's like it's early still, so at least they took 2 out of 3 against the Giants. That's a decent sign, I guess. Question mark? Anyway, so now we jump into the Padres. So following the Padres' loss on opening day, they followed that up with a 4-1 loss to the Colorado Rockies, which was no bueno. And then on Saturday and Sunday, they salvaged 2 wins to salvage a split against the Rockies. They won 8-4 on Saturday, and then 3-1 on Sunday. Then they took on the Diamondbacks, where they split that series, winning 5-4 on Monday, and then losing 8-6 on Tuesday. Then last Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, they actually faced the Atlanta Braves, where they actually won 3 out of 4, which included winning on Sunday Night Baseball on ESPN, which was quite phenomenal. They lost the first game 7-6, but they won last Friday's game 5-4, and then they wound up winning last Saturday 5-4 or 4-1, and then last Sunday they beat the Braves 10-2. Talk about winning big time on national TV. Then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the Padres lost 2 out of 3 against the New York Mets. They lost the first game 5-0, won the second game 4-2, and then lost the rubber match 5-2. Then on Thursday through Sunday, they have a 4-game series against the Brewers. So they started that series yesterday. They lost to the Brewers 4-3, which was not the best way to start the series, especially at home. That's not a good way to start the series. Tonight, the two teams play at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time, and the two teams face one another again at 1:05 p.m. Pacific time. And then the two teams close out the series at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. Then on Monday through Wednesday, the Padres face the Braves. Monday and Tuesday, they face one another at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. And then Wednesday, they face the Braves at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. And Thursday through the Sunday, or through next Sunday, or through next Thursday through Sunday, the Padres travel to Arizona to take on the Diamondbacks, where the first 2 games will be at 6:40 p.m. Pacific time. Then Saturday, the two teams will be playing at 5:10 p.m. Pacific time. And then Sunday, the two teams will be playing one another at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. So currently where the Padres stand, they are 7-7, which isn't bad. I mean, again, there's still lots of season remaining, and they don't have their full roster. They still don't have Fernando Tatis Jr., so we won't hit the panic button on them just yet. I mean, it could be a whole lot worse. I mean, they could be Oakland. No offense, A's fans, but sorry, not sorry. But I digress. So that is that for the MLB action. All the teams are at least 500 or better, so that's a good thing. Alright, so that's that for the MLB. And I want to say, following that, we only have the NHL, and then we've got Dumb of the Week, and then I'll send you all on your way. So, jumping over to the NHL. So, the NHL regular season is finally over, and for the Kings, they are playoff bound, which makes me happy. They finished 3rd in the Pacific Division, which isn't bad. They finished behind Edmonton and Vegas. Now, the Edmonton thing, Edmonton kind of caught fire, while the Kings kind of, I wouldn't say they deteriorated, but it's like, it is what it is. Last Saturday, they lost to the Seattle Kraken, or they beat the Seattle Kraken 3-1. They beat the Canucks 4-1. They lost the Edmonton Oilers 3-1 last Tuesday. They lost to the Golden Knights last Thursday, 5-2. They lost to the Colorado Avalanche 4-3 last Saturday. They beat the Canucks this past Monday 3-0, and then yesterday they beat the Anaheim Ducks 5-4. So the Kings play the Edmonton Oilers in the first round of the NHL playoffs, which should be quite the series. And honestly, it should be a great series just because I think the Kings are going to come in with a belly full of fire, and I think for the Kings' sake, they're going to want to have a mind full of revenge just because they know that the Oilers robbed them of home court advantage through this series, or home ice advantage. Either way, first game is on Monday, which should be a great series, and honestly, for the Oilers, I would not want to mess with the Kings. I think the Kings still have that potential. Yes, they traded Jonathan Quick, but honestly, I think the Kings still could do some damage. And then as for the Ducks, we don't even need to discuss them just because the Ducks, they straight up sucked. I'm sorry, but it's the truth. So, there's that right there. They're not playoff bound, so draft Cancun, here they come. And draft, here they come. But playoffs, here come the Kings, as the Kings have some unfinished business to attend to, and the Kings are ready to take on the Edmonton Oilers. Also, the LA Kings did not lose once, I repeat once, to the, the Anaheim Ducks this season. So, good stuff from the LA Kings. That's what we call consistency. And then I guess moving on to the WNBA draft, the Los Angeles Sparks drafted Zia Cook out of South Carolina, which I think is big time right there. So the pre-draft analysis is a bounce-back senior helped Cook's pro prospects. A good NCAA tournament helped them even more. She improved her long-range shooting and became an even more efficient finisher at the rim. Post-draft analysis. The Sparks needed to add some depth and explosiveness at guard. Los Angeles gets both with Cook. Her three-point shooting has been inconsistent throughout her career, but was solid this season at 34.6%. She was clearly a more confident shooter. She should only help a team that was 10th in the league in scoring a season ago. Cook will also give the Sparks a good on-ball defender, whose quickness was probably underrated in college. That was from Charlie Cream. That was from round 1. Round 2, the Sparks drafted Shanice Twain from Australia. Post-draft analysis. Likely another draft and stash pick. Shanice Swain. Swain is also just 19 years old, but she also has good upside as a versatile guard. She possesses good ball skills and has range out to the three-point line. She had more turnovers than assists in the WNBL this season, so another year of experience could be the plan. She's 5'9" and she hails from Australia. Pardon me for a second. Sorry about that. And then in the third round, the Sparks drafted, if they had a pick, Monica Sinano, power forward from Iowa. Pre-draft analysis. Knowing what her own skill set is, Sinano never strayed far from the basket during her 5 years as a Hawkeye. That's why she is one of the NCAA's all-time leaders in field goal percentage. The size and speed of the WNBA might prove to be too great of a challenge. Charlie Cream. Post-draft analysis. One of the most efficient players college basketball has seen in recent years, Sinano knows how to finish at the rim and is a good post passer. Because she's not a big leaper and lacks quickness, there are size concerns at 6'3", and she's joining a team with Nneka and Chine Ogwumike and Olivia Nelson Ododa. And that's that for the Los Angeles Sparks' draft. So, hopefully for the Sparks' sake, they drafted well, because if not, we will be seeing them back in the draft. So, we'll see. Alright, so that is that for the Sparks and their little draft thing. We're not going to go... it doesn't look like we have any, draft... We have any, NFL news or any USC or UCLA news. So, we might as well just jump on into the Dum Dum of the Week. So, the Dum Dum of the Week is basically an award I like to give out to someone that does something or says something dumb. So, no one is safe from this award. Whether it is... No organization is safe from this award. Basically, I give this award out to someone that does, says, or acts dumb, or basically that acts basically out of character. So, I have quite a number of Dum Dum of the Week awards to give out. So, we have to start out with yours truly, me. So, this Dum Dum of the Week award for myself goes out in number of acts. And this starts out from last week. So, as we all know, I basically partook in the NVA little thing. The NVA first event 1. So, I did not know this. The NVA was kind enough to give me a hotel room. They managed to pay for my hotel stay and... Excuse me a second. They managed to pay for my hotel stay, and they managed to basically give me my hotel thing. They paid for my hotel stay, I managed to get a room, and whatnot. So little did I know, I actually was going to have a roommate. So this was completely... I actually did kind of figure out... I did kind of know that I was kind of going to have a roommate, because one of the NVA head honchos said, you might have a roommate, but you might not. So, expect a roommate. So, when I got there, I unfortunately could not check in early, because there's no such thing as early check-in, because that's just how it is. Anyway, so, there is no early check-in, but the nice people at the hotel place was kind enough to hold my bag. So they gave me this little ticket, which when I want to come back to whatever I want to do, basically at the allotted time where I check in, I just show them that ticket and then they give me my bag. Well, when I was done covering the NVA, I went back there. I remember sticking it in my wallet following my little outing at the NVA facility, or Long Beach City College, and then after I'm done, I basically could not find it in my wallet. I basically lost my ticket, and I'm wondering, uh-oh. I was panicking as heck. I was like, I could not find my baggage ticket, which made me so scared. I was like, what am I going to do? So, fortunately, I did remember the number. So, I gave the number to the lady, and she was able to get my bag, and no harm, no foul. So, when me and my roommate got back to the room, I emptied out my pockets, which is what I always do before I relax. And when I emptied out my wallet, I accidentally dropped my wallet on the ground, and my wallet fell upside down, and right when my wallet fell upside down, and unbelievably, what fell upside down was my baggage ticket. So I wasn't looking hard enough when it came to my wallet. So my baggage ticket, I must have stuffed my baggage ticket in my wallet to the point where I kept it safely, but I just wasn't looking hard enough. So, I did remember the number, yes, but it's like, good job for not looking hard enough, Teran. So, that's act number 1 of Dum Dum of the Week for me. So act number 2 of Dum Dum of the Week goes out to my forgetfulness on Sunday. So Sunday was basically checkout day for me. So basically it was just me just gathering up my things and just leaving for breakfast and then eventually finding my way to Long Beach City College. And I didn't know how I was going to get there at first. I thought someone was going to give me a ride, but my ride was about 10 minutes late. So I thought I had everything, and then when I was about ready to plug my stuff in or plug my phone charger in, I realized I didn't have my phone charger. So I also, at the time, I didn't know, I didn't have my earbuds as well. So I was panicking. I'm like, oh my goodness, I left my phone charger back at the hotel room, and I plugged it into the wall, which was not smart. So what I failed to do was, I failed to do one last search around the room. So it's like, that was me face palming. Oh my goodness. That's, if you're, word to the wise, if you're staying at a hotel, do one last search around the room. Like, do not forget anything, because if you're not gonna ever come back, you're never gonna ever see that stuff again. Unless you really don't want to use it. Anyway, I really felt really dumb for leaving that stuff behind. Now, fortunately, I did have a roommate, and at first I thought having a roommate was going to be not good for me, because I've never had a roommate outside of my brother when it came to staying in hotels. I thought this was going to be tough for me, and I've never had this experience. Fortunately, having a roommate really benefited me. So he did one last search around the room, and he did pick up my stuff, my earbuds, and my charger. And he really saved the day for me, because if he doesn't do that one last search around the room, I basically have to call the hotel, say, hey, I left my stuff in that hotel, and then I have to go back to the hotel, and then I have to pick up that stuff, and then I have to basically then go home. So that saved me a whole lot of time with my roommate, basically picking up my stuff. So thank you to Noah Chast, my roommate, for picking up my stuff. You get the Big W award. As for myself, for my forgetfulness, and for once again having another blunder when it comes to another misadventure of staying at a hotel, because I don't know how to stay at a hotel by myself, and I don't know how to basically be organized by myself at a hotel, I am this week's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 1.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Yes, I gotta be better than that. If I'm gonna be a reporter or a journalist, and I'm gonna be staying at hotels, I gotta be, more conscious. I really do. In my defense on Sunday, excuse me a second, one more time. In my defense on Sunday, I was not 100%. Sounded like a witch doctor and whatnot. And I was battling allergies, and everyone at that facility was not 100%, and everyone was coughing and hacking and whatnot. It's like, holy guacamole, dude. I digress, though. Anyway, that's Dum Dum of the Week Award recipient number 1. So Dum Dum of the Week Award recipient number 2. Alright, so remember when the Lakers had to face the Minnesota Timberwolves? Oh boy. Sorry, one more time. I really can't wait till I am done with being sick. Alright, so Dum Dum of the Week Award number 2. So remember when Minnesota was missing all those players like Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels? Well, it turns out that Rudy Gobert did something really dumb. So we all know that Rudy Gobert was infamous for getting the NBA canceled when he had COVID-19, and then the dude basically got the NBA shut down. So apparently Rudy Gobert punched Jaden McDaniels in the huddle. So he punched Rudy Gobert punched Jaden McDaniels, and unfortunately that landed him a 1-game suspension against the Lakers. So he basically did not make the flight out to Los Angeles, and he got to watch the Timberwolves take on the Lakers at his home in Minnesota. So unfortunately for Jaden McDaniels, he's not exempt from this either. So Jaden McDaniels thought he's exempt from this too. So Jaden McDaniels also got hurt, but it wasn't from him getting hurt in the way of him getting hurt. He was so frustrated, he punched a wall. Now, I understand his frustration. He punched a wall, but it was a solid wall, so he's not Superman. So he punched a wall, and his arm or his wrist is basically broken to the point where he's now going to miss time. So basically, Rudy Gobert and Jaden McDaniels cost their team because Rudy Gobert would have been so great to have against the Lakers, as well as Jaden McDaniels. But instead, their actions against one another basically cost them possibly the 7th seed in the playoffs. Now the Timberwolves face the Oklahoma City Thunder in basically a do-or-die game, a win-or-go-home game, because if they don't win, they're out. So for Rudy Gobert, who basically punched Jaden McDaniels, and for Jaden McDaniels, who basically punched the wall because of his frustrations, you two are this week's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient numbers 2 and number 3.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Alright, and now for the last Dum Dum of the Week award recipient. So on Wednesday, I actually got bored, and I watched the Oklahoma City Thunder and New Orleans Pelicans game, in the play-in game. So, and there was this one player I managed to see, and that was Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what's so special about him, Teran? Well, I was wondering, why did Shai Gilgeous-Alexander leave the Clippers? And then I forgot that he was a former Clipper, and I'm just wondering, oh yeah, I forgot. He was a former Clipper. But then I'm wondering, wait, he was a former Clipper? And then I had to remind myself, why did the Clippers get rid of him? So, for the Clippers, I'm just wondering, why did they get rid of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander? They could have legit kept Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and they could have had a great shooter on their team. They could have legit had a great shooter on their team in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. But instead, they got rid of him, and now he's doing work for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And one tweet that I saw was, no way did the Clippers get rid of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And unfortunately, the Clippers did. Now, I understand an NBA is a business, and sometimes business is business. But it's like, Clippers, you really could have used Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on your team, especially with Paul George out. But now, it is what it is. So, Clippers, I hate doing this to you. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is a beast of a player, but you kind of have to take the Dum Dum of the Week award because you got rid of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and now he's doing work with the Oklahoma City Thunder, and unfortunately, you're basically 1 star short. So, you kind of got to take one little bit of Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 4.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And I actually have one more Dum Dum of the Week I have to give out, and then I'll send you all on your way. So the last Dum Dum of the Week award I have to give out is the Anaheim Ducks. So I didn't talk about them for a reason, because I have to dedicate this segment to them. Oh yes, the Anaheim Ducks finished dead last in their division, but it doesn't end there. They failed to win a game in the freeway face-off, but it doesn't end there. the freeway face-off against the LA Kings. They finished dead last in their conference, but it doesn't end there. The Anaheim Ducks finished dead last in the NHL. That's just how sad of a season the Anaheim Ducks season was. They finished dead last in the NHL. They were the worst team in the NHL. Now, if they don't get that number 1 pick in the NHL draft, I don't know what to tell them. They might be more cursed than the Angels. They might be more cursed than the city of San Diego itself. But I'm going to just say this about the Anaheim Ducks. What a treacherous and what a terrible season. And my fear is they might be going down the path of the Anaheim Ducks because they have a generational talent in Trevor Zegras, but unfortunately they could be wasting his career in youth and his best years in Anaheim. So, for the Ducks, what a horrible season to waste away Trevor Zegras' good youth years. So, for the Anaheim Ducks, I hate to do this to you, but you are this week's Dum Dum of the Week award recipient number 5, and my goodness, you are the worst team in the NHL this year. Man, you suck.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb.
Wait. Run that back. Say that again.
You're so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Had to make up for last week, but man, those Anaheim Ducks are just so sad. So sad, so terrible, so blah. And no, I'm not going to apply as the Anaheim Ducks head coach. But on that note, that is going to do it for this week's episode of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Ladies and gentlemen, is that time for me to get on out of here, because I got to be out the door fairly soon. You dig? And my voice is starting to give out. Wrong button. Thank you everyone for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody tuning in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to the chat room, Angela Winstead, John Felipe, Davidson Crooks, Adam Karnick, and Larry B. Really do appreciate everybody popping in the chat room. Angela Winstead said, great show, Teran. I appreciate you. Hopefully, I will be better by next week. I really want to be over this whole cold or allergies or upper respiratory infection. I really just want to be 100% so I'm not talking through my nose and whatnot. Until then, for everyone here at IE Sports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the weekend. Enjoy all the SoCal sports action. If you're an NBA fan or a Lakers/Clipper fan, enjoy the Lakers and Clippers in the playoffs, especially you Lakers fans. It's been a long road, but the Lakers finally made it, and heaven knows what's going to happen with LeBron and his final bit of playoffs on how long his legs are going to hold up. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. I will be at UC Irvine and Long Beach State this weekend for the Long Beach State UC Irvine men's volleyball series. But until then, have yourself a great rest of the weekend. And remember, SoCal is for SoCal. Peace!